enough of that trash. Now I'm going to tell you some real stories.
I just can't cope with all this disease. It's pushing down, 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 down on me. Look at me, what you say? It's social debris.
This whole album was recorded before the pandemic in Detroit. There was nothing ever like it before. You know, when one little tiny germ that nobody can even see stops the world, it kind of gives you a whole new look at the world. And we were in Berlin, in fact, doing Rock Meets Classic. That show ended, and we got the advice right then. They said, if you're not out of Germany in the next 30 or so hours, we're closing the borders. So that was the end of that tour, and we haven't toured since then. That was March 7th. In some ways, you look at it and you go, well, maybe we needed a year off, you know, but yeah, I always look at the optimistic part of it, and families stayed together. The world pulled together, you know, in a lot of places, the way the world should have pulled together to help out people that couldn't help themselves. And I saw a lot of cooperation, and I don't think I ever washed my hands that much in my life. But I saw the whole world doing that, and I said, okay, good, let's cooperate with each other and beat this thing. But 2020 was just an amazingly, it'll go down in history as maybe the strangest year ever in the world. I was born in Detroit, and Detroit is the hard rock capital of the United States. You know, Los Angeles has the Doors, had the Doors, and they were kind of a sexy rock and roll sound. San Francisco had its Grateful Dead. New York had the Young Rascals. Detroit had the Stooges, the MC5, Alice Cooper, Bob Seger, Ted Nugent. We were all hard rock, guitar-driven rock and roll bands. And for some reason, that just became the home of hard rock. And it was in the same place as Motown, which was interesting. We had actually two musical movements going on at the same time, Motown and hard rock, and they both got along very well together. So I said, let's do an album about Detroit, or concerning Detroit, or something about in Detroit, and record there, write the album there, only use Detroit players, and make it pure Detroit. And I guarantee you it'll come out to be a roaring rock and roll album, because that's what Detroit is. When we met Bob Ezrin, and Bob Ezrin became our George Martin, he organized us. He took all the raw energy and all the raw, what I would say, talent. We didn't have a signature in our sound. Bob came in and gave us that, so that when you heard an Alice Cooper record on the radio, you'd go, oh, that's Alice Cooper, because we didn't have that before. So we give Bob Ezrin an awful lot of credit for the development of what Alice Cooper is, and I still work with Bob 50 years, 40 years later. I'm still working with Bob, and we're still creating Alice.
Detroit City.
Detroit's a tough city, and so they don't like soft rock. They want hard rock, and they want their bands to have, to be very aggressive. They want the bands to have attitude. They want you to take them by the throat and shake them. They do not want to be lulled to sleep by their music. Every time I go back there, I left there when I was 10 years old, and I lived in Arizona and California for, you know, after that for the next 60 years or so. But people say, where are you from? I go, Detroit. Because there's a certain amount of, you know, pride in living and being from there. It's a tough city, but it's a real music city. You know, nobody ever thought about living past 30, to be honest with you. It was pretty much a 24-hour party. You were playing the East Town, whereas Bob Seger and Ted Nugent was playing the Grandie, and Elton John was at the Fox, and there was like 6 different venues going on that night, and every one was packed. And afterwards, we'd all go, where's the party tonight? Oh, the party's at the MC5's house in Ann Arbor. Next week, where's the party next week? Oh, it's going to be at Alice's house. Okay, where next week? Oh, we're going up to Bob Seger's. There was a giant 300-person party after every weekend. And it was a real rock and roll party. I mean, you know, it was a no holds barred kind of party.
Sing it to me now!
I don't really think you can shock an audience anymore, but you have to remember in 1970, 1969, 70, 71, everybody was peace and love, and you know, everything was wonderful and groovy and everything. And Alice Cooper was not that. Alice Cooper was a little bit of violence on stage, a little bit of glam, certainly a lot of energy in that show, and we scared a lot of people. And I think people started making up stories about Alice Cooper that things that we never did, but were shocking things that Alice did. And you hear that about Ozzy too. Ozzy ate a bat, you know, and this and that. They want their rock stars to be really extremely not them. You know, we're something mythical. We're something legendary. And I was exactly in the right place for this villain of rock and roll to absorb all that and to send it back out. I'd go on stage with a pair of black leather pants and my girlfriend's slip, and it would be all ripped with blood all over it and makeup, and audiences would go, what happened? They're immediately, the first time they see you, they want to know how did it get bloody? How did it get, you know? So they were immediately immersed right into the image and into something was going on with this band. And I got to know more about this. I see a resurgence in rock right now. I think rock, as crazy as it sounds, is, you know, when you go to the Grammys, there's no rock and roll there. Maybe the Foo Fighters, maybe Green Day, you know, or they pick one band that's going to be their rock band. It used to be every single act in rock was in the Grammys. I like rock being in a place right now where we're sort of the outlaws again. So rock and roll's in a good place. We're back to what we should be. We're the villains. We're the rock and roll outlaws.
Just shut up and rock. Oh, shut up and rock. Please shut up and rock. Why can't you just shut up and rock?
You better check it out, because I know where you live.